G'day all, this is a very brief overview of some work done recently on Accounting 1 as part of the Online Learning Model project, which includes the Bachelor of Accounting. Now before we jump to the subject side, I thought I'd point out where you might find some more information on the Online Learning Model. You simply go to our wiki, that's bjbs-share.csu.edu.au, type in online, that's probably all you should need, Online Learning Model, and you can click there. And you'll be taken an overview page, as you can see, which summarises the 7 elements of the model, or you can click over here for some more detail, but we won't go there right now. As you can see from this data, which has been provided by Strategic Planning Information, ACC100 has issues with progress in the Bachelor of Accounting. And as you can see from here, the Bachelor of Accounting in general has major challenges in relation to survey questions on student interaction and connectedness with the university. So we use that data to inform our changes, which focused in particular on the teacher presence and the learning communities aspects of the online learning model, but other aspects as well. I'll just step you through a few before and after shots to show you some of what we did. First, in relation to teacher presence and the landing page, this is the landing page under the old version of the subject, and this is what we've done with the landing page under the new version of the subject. We've tried to make it more visually appealing and have a bit of some early activities to try and engage some interest early in the subject. We also developed a series of what we call mentoring videos for the start of each topic. Each video was only about 1 minute in length, and the scenario was that I was an audit manager stepping an undergraduate through their first audit. And I used each stage of the audit process, from preparing the audit through to completion, to get the student thinking about key aspects of that topic by setting them some key problems to research. Now I shot them all using a green screen, which allowed us to change the background to match where we're at for various aspects of the audit. Here's another one here in the boardroom. Another thing we did was to try and change the tone of the modules from rather bleak and formal, as you can see here, in the old version with the heading telling students what to do, to something that was a bit more informal and encouraging. As you can see, we've sort of changed the heading to something more positive, and we've integrated those learning activities into the body of the module. One other thing we tried in relation to teacher presence was put a lot of thought into the structure of the online meeting themselves. Now the students don't see this, but essentially this is a lesson plan for both the subject coordinator and the Allen rep, who was heavily involved in a number of the online meetings, to try and enhance the engagement between teacher and student within those sessions themselves. Okay, moving on to the learning communities element. Now to try and build some effective learning communities, we designed 2 pre-activities to be completed if possible before the session began. The first was a brief online survey which provided information on how they'd like to interact, areas of confidence, and specific literacy and numeracy concerns. There's the 4 pages, but didn't take too long to complete. They were also given the opportunity to provide their contact details right at the end if they wanted specific Allen support, and that was followed up on immediately. Now the survey results also informed the number of groups we set up in terms of each learning style. You can see a number are in relation to working largely independently. But the idea was that we would encourage interaction even among those who saw themselves as independent learners. The second pre-activity was for students, once they join one of those peer groups, as we saw earlier, was for them to introduce themselves to each other in those peer groups and then determine ways of interacting. The idea being that in those small groups, the students will interact by wrestling with the set peer activities, like this one here, and then select a representative to share responses and questions during the main online meeting. Now it didn't preclude others in the group from attending the online meeting, but the research suggests that in large cohorts such as Accounting 1, interaction is enhanced if you break down the cohort into smaller working groups for activities, and that's what we try to do here. In relation to interactive resources, we did do a number of things. An example here is an ethical dilemma, which in the old version was literally just words on a page. We used the same scenario but animated it to try and make it more engaging for the students before they worked on that particular dilemma. Another enhanced interactive resource was the Excel tutorials. Now Excel is a key aspect of the subject, and it's an area that students tend to struggle with. Now, there were tutorials in the old version of the subject, but they weren't contextualized to the content, and as you can see, it really consisted of a list of things to do. We produced a series of 6 tutorials covering the key skills, but contextualized to the content in this subject. The idea being that this would more effectively scaffold students for their assessment tasks. This tutorial in particular, which I'm showing on the screen, was geared towards preparing students for the major assignment. One other one to mention was the fact that publisher tutorials and interactive activities were previously just whacked at the end of each topic as a big long list. What we did in the new version was to synthesize and present those activities in such a way as to avoid duplication and instead offer them as optional revision activities. There's plenty more I could show you, but I reckon that's enough for now. Hopefully that's given you an idea of the impact applying the online learning model has had on this subject. The new version of the subject has been live for a few weeks now. We're seeing enhanced student engagement and interaction, but obviously we're waiting with bated breath for the end of session grades and subject survey results. Thanks very much.